Hello everybody, welcome to What Culture. I'm Scott, I'm joined by Ewan.
Hello.
Hello. Now this, to get it all out the way up front, it's probably going to be in the title too, is a major spoilery video in regards to Infinity War. I don't know who hasn't seen it at this point, but if you haven't, go find out what happens at the end of that movie, react like the rest of us, be devastated, be downtrodden, and be like, oh god, what are they going to do? That's where
It's that old purple chestnut again.
He comes out of the blue and he kills everybody. Oh, what, I said it, you shouldn't be here anymore. Anyway, so we're going to delve into the future of the MCU and predicting every major character that will join in Phase 4 because you've amassed, you can make it all right again.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I can. I mean, they could all just come in and just die. That is the main thing.
Not again.
But yeah, this might not specifically be Phase 4. Obviously, we don't know the time frame for some of these characters. May or may not be with different rights holders at this current time.
Okay. Yeah.
So they may come in at a different time, but we should probably cut to the chase and get to these characters because, yeah.
Yes, so we've got quite a few to run down. So the first half of this will be a bit snappier.
Yes.
And then we'll sort of delve into the ones that are maybe a bit more worth talking about.
Yeah.
We do have 18 characters in total.
I kind of thought of 18 kind of characters that will have key importance going forward in the way you look at. They've kind of foreshadowed things, interviews with directors who have said that characters were going to be included and then for some reason or not weren't. So yeah, let's start off.
Bring it on.
With Wonder Man. Now, Wonder Man was actually going to have a cameo in Guardians 2. Do you know the actor who was going to play him?
Sylvester Stallone.
Nathan Fillion.
Oh, I like Nathan Fillion.
So the character in the comics actually started off as an Avengers villain,
right,
and then kind of became one of the biggest Avengers of all time. He's called Simon Williams. And yeah, so he's got an energy...
It's not the most imposing name.
But he's got like energy-based powers, and obviously Nathan Fillion. I could see him being in the MCU. I think it was a surprise that kind of after Joss Whedon came in that Nathan Fillion didn't somehow get the call up again.
Yep.
But in Guardians 2, James Gunn was going to use Fillion as a jokey cameo actor. He comes in and he's playing the biopic of Tony Stark, so he plays him in a film.
Okay.
And he was dressed up as an obscure barbarian character from an old Marvel comic. So there is potential for him to be... I think it's weird that he's in Guardians because he's such an Avengers character. But at the same time, I see Nathan Fillion potentially having a decent role to play at some point. Even if it is a jokey role, even if it isn't the hero from the film, or from the comics, I should say, then yeah, I kind of think...
Very natural fit, especially considering the Guardians' tone. And he's got a hell of a comedic presence, a very nerd-beloved character thanks to the likes of Fireflies.
And the next one I've got coming up is Thunderbolts. Now, again...
My reaction to most of these is probably going to be like, who?
People who watch Suicide Squad will know that villain...
Both of you?
All two of you will know that supervillain team-up things where they get enlisted by the government and they have to do a bunch of stuff for the government works well in the comics but didn't necessarily work so well on the big screen. But that Dirty Dozen style premise where you have all the supervillains coming together, I think you could run away with that. Particularly with Michael Keaton's Vulture. I feel like in the same way Deadshot was meant to ground Suicide Squad, you could probably set the film around Keaton's Vulture. Because obviously he's in prison, but he's not an out-and-out villain. And you could see them using his talents to do certain things, to get back at the Avengers. And obviously you'd have the comparisons that, Disney had just copied Warner Brothers. And Thunderbolts did come after Suicide Squad and Secret Six and all this. But if any studio can make that premise work, it would probably be Marvel.
Now, have you got anybody that I might actually know, or that we know?
Yeah, She-Hulk.
Hey! She's cool.
I know, of all the characters that I think Marvel could introduce, She-Hulk probably is the most... difficult. Well, yes, but also quite difficult because at no point in any of these films has Mark Ruffalo turned around and gone, yeah, my cousin Jennifer, she had a car accident and then I had to give her some of my gamma-infused blood transfusion and then she became the Hulk.
All that green stuff I can do?
Yeah, exactly.
She's got that.
But if you think about it, She-Hulk makes so much sense for this universe, and especially if Avengers 4 is going to be about a bunch of these old characters passing on the torch. I could see them incorporating her later down the line, perhaps not as Jennifer Walters, maybe just a different Hulk appears as a lady. But I think that would work because you have the lawyer by day thing, which obviously we all know is Daredevil, and then you also have the Avengers thing at the end of that. I think you get both aspects with that. Maybe potentially more suited for Netflix than the films, but Silk.
Yes.
Now, Silk is a character that probably most Spider-Man fans aren't overtly familiar with. She was introduced a few years ago by Dan Slott and Humberto Ramos, and she actually appeared in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay.
She's one of the people on Peter's decathlon team. And she's played by Tiffany Espenson, and in the comics, she actually gets bitten by the same spider that bit Peter.
Oh, cool.
And obviously in the MCU, his origins are still they talk about the spider being bit, but you never see it. And it would be really interesting to me if Marvel are looking to divest from past interpretations of the character, maybe introduce Silk or a Spider-Gwen type character or any of those kind of leading spiders into the situation. I think that would work. If you had if you try to get away from that old image of Spider-Man being the only Spider-Man, I think that would work. But,
I would laugh if they do their own Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So whatever you're doing, Sony, we've got ours. It's fine. We've already got these characters. Don't worry about it.
Next one is Squirrel Girl. Right. I know, right? Squirrel Girl. Yeah. Bear with. She's going to appear in the new Warriors TV show that may or may not be happening.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm saying this is a prediction is because that show is still without a network. They're trying to shop it around to different people at the moment, and it's not looking particularly great. But it's not difficult to envision Marvel potentially reusing those assets for a film, especially if Squirrel Girl, because she's a very kind of Deadpool style, zany, I could do whatever I want. She beat Galactus in the comics by feeding him a bunch of acorns. So really,
get that visual on screen.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's again Squirrel Girl.
Sounds good. Yeah. I would like to see if Squirrel Girl is more interesting than her namesake, or is more badass, more capable than her namesake.
Squirrel Girl is fantastic. You should all.
I know nothing, but I want to know more.
Yeah, cool. Next one, I've got the Invaders. And I know the Invaders isn't a character; it's a team. Bear with. And the Invaders were actually the first superhero team of the 20th century. You had Captain America in a leading role. You had the android Human Torch, which you can actually spot in a cameo in the first Avenger. He's kind of in that little glass tube thing. And also Namor. Now, Namor is a character we'll get to later. But I feel as though the Invaders, if you were looking to potentially bring back Steve Rogers as a feature, and there's this question about retroactively changing the continuity and all this, but the Invaders presents a way for Marvel to potentially keep Steve Rogers around in an earlier sense and also build their lore, and obviously we've seen them use the past in Captain Marvel, in First Avengers, so yeah, I don't know if you... Next one, I've got the X-Men.
Oh, there you go.
Right. Big thing here, I don't think Marvel are going to be enthusiastic about incorporating the X-Men because they present so many problems in terms of changing the lore to suit mutants and all that.
Yeah, they've done a bunch of storylines that would have had key X-Men in, like Ultron, and we're already past that. So
yeah, obviously the less that's said about them, the better, because everyone knows the X-Men. I just think they'll probably appear either in Phase 4 or 5. It's a matter of when, not if. Though personally, I can see Marvel sitting on them for a little while.
So the X-Men we all know and love. Who's next?
Annihilus.
Yeah!
There we go.
Who's that?
Basically, if you were looking at a comic book event that is comparable to Infinity War in terms of death, carnage, and sheer awfulness, Annihilus is the character you'd look to usher in that.
Okay.
He is a character that was introduced initially during the Fantastic Four, so obviously the rights issues, I don't know what are going on with them. But at the same time, if you were looking for Marvel to go more cosmic with their comics, he's a great character to introduce because he is literally the worst person ever. In the Annihilation comic, he actually captures Galactus and uses him for his own nefarious gains.
Okay.
Exactly, so you kind of get the scale of this character, and he really brings together all these different aspects of cosmic Marvel. That event is really what kind of spearheaded the modern resurgence of the Guardians of the Galaxy and all that kind of thing. Okay. So yeah, I think that'd be cool. From one unknown space nasty to a known space goodie, the Fantastic Four.
Hey!
And I know what you're saying. Look, we're all looking forward to seeing Michael Chiklis back in the Thing suit. Not really, but at the same time, I know everyone is bored to death by these characters, but if you look at the history they bring to Marvel and the personal... The things they bring to the Marvel Cinematic Universe are infinitely more important than what the X-Men bring. Because within that Fantastic Four license, you have Galactus, you have another character who I'll get to in a minute. Right. You have all these different aspects of the Cosmic Marvel Universe, and yeah, if any studio is going to do a family superhero team along the lines of Incredibles, you put the Incredibles and the Marvel Cinematic Universe together, and you can just see the eyes popping out of Mickey Mouse's face. So move on quickly because we're running out of time.
So much to say, though.
Moon Knight.
Not really.
Now, this is actually quite interesting because in an interview with Screen Rant the other week, Kevin Feige actually said that Moon Knight is on a list of cards they have for certain characters that are looking to introduce. Cool. And now, obviously, if you know who Moon Knight is in the comics, he started off life as a Batman ripoff before becoming this insane multi-personality guy who rips people's faces off.
That's the latest stuff.
Yes. He probably is more suited towards Netflix, but if Marvel are looking to capitalize on the kind of R-rated resurgence that we've seen with films like Deadpool and Venom, that's going to be R-rated as well, I think, Moon Knight would work.
But Moon Knight is badass, absolutely really cool. What's his name? His name's Warren Spector? Someone else?
Mark Spector?
Mark Spector?
I think it's Mark Spector.
He's a cool man. Yeah. He's got a lot of gadgets.
Yes. Anyway, we'll move on to the next one because everyone loves this guy, Blade.
Yeah, oh god.
Himself. Now, obviously,
the amount of thoughts.
Everything. Marvel, there is no way that Marvel have been sitting on this character for so long without good cause. They've had the rights for so long. Blade pretty much is the character responsible for making comic book movies the thing they are today.
Yeah.
What's the problem? Just get him in.
The thing is with Blade, and Blade's on the Blade trilogy. The first two movies are some of the best action movies ever. Blade 2, phenomenal. Wesley Snipes, phenomenal. When they rebooted him as a TV series and they cast Sticky Fingers as Blade, not so good, and it ended on a cliffhanger which no one cared about. And season 2 didn't happen, but oh my god, that character is brilliant, and he's worth bringing in.
We'll move along again because Namor. Again, another character who in the comics is very significant. He acts as kind of a bridge between the X-Men and the Avengers because he's a mutant, and obviously, DC are probably going to lay a big old flag down on the old Atlantean water-based, aquatic-themed superhero adventure.
That's the only thing they've got going for them.
But Namor works well for me. I'm sure Marvel are very curious to bring him in as well because there was the whole kerfuffle about whether Universal had the rights, and then every other year we seem to get a thing of Universal have the rights, Marvel have the rights, Universal have the rights. So if Marvel do have the rights, Namor makes sense. We'll move on again because the next one I've got is Miles Morales.
Oh!
Yes, and,
okay.
Obviously, one super awesome thing about this year is that he's going to be in an animated film of his own in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
And he's in the game.
And also, in Spider-Man Homecoming, Donald Glover's character mentions him as a nephew.
And Peter Parker's dead.
Yeah.
So if you want to do, I'd love the swerve if they did the next Spider-Man movie as a Miles Morales movie.
To be fair, when they announced that Spider was coming to the MCU, I genuinely thought, why not just make it Miles Morales?
Yeah.
Next one, Silver Surfer.
Yes.
What do you need to know? He's a chrome guy with a silver surfboard, and he flies around and he points out planets for Galactus to eat and goes, eat it.
And he's called Norman Rad.
Norrin Rad.
Surname is Rad.
Norman Rad is his Yorkshire cousin.
Yes, he is.
Norman Rad.
He's really cool though. Just literally, he was always created to be this radical looking dude, capitalizing on all the artwork that was around at the time.
Yeah.
Really good looking guy.
And from one Captain Marvel to another, we have Miss Marvel. And the Miss Marvel mantle in the comics has been going back and forth for years now. But just the other year, it settled on one person called Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
And if you've been keeping up with the comics recently, you'll know that G. Willow Wilson's comic has been incredible. And Kamala Khan, really, at this current point, I would argue, is kind of the heart and soul of Marvel's current line of comics.
She feels like, to some degree, like the definitive version right now.
Yes.
Like it's the one that everyone's coming. Like my fiance absolutely adores her, and it's like, that seems to be the one that would just have this massive audience.
Next one we've got is Monica Rambeau. Now, this is a character who is actually familiar to the Avengers in particular. She actually led the Avengers. I think she's probably the most obscure Avengers leader out there. But she is also a supporting character for Captain Marvel. And she's another cosmic character. She was called Spectrum in the comics. She's really, really powerful, really, really cool. And people have speculated that DeWanda Wise, who has got an unknown part in Captain Marvel, could be playing that character. And obviously, again, rather obscure character, but if you were looking to make Captain Marvel have an even bigger influence on terms of how the Avengers develop going forward, that character makes perfect sense to develop and give their own powers. I know this list has been rather cosmic heavy, but we've got two more left. We're going to go with Adam Warlock.
Yes.
Who we actually saw at the end of Guardians 2, albeit in a rather...
in a chamber.
In his little cocoon thing. And it looks as though for Guardians 3 he's going to be introduced as a villain to begin with. Hopefully to change into a hero, because in the comics, in Infinity Gauntlet, he's the guy who comes in and saves the day. And it looks as though that role's being given to Carol Danvers for Avengers 4. But in any case, I can see Adam Warlock being a new member of the Guardians, considering, a few of them are a bit dead. We'll go for number one now, Nova.
The big boy.
Yeah, Richard Ryer is his name, because every single Marvel superhero has to have alliteration in their name. But New York high schooler gets caught up by the Nova Corps after kind of everything goes to shit, and then becomes a Nova member, and he's the most powerful Nova guy ever. And you know, that's literally, we kind of stormed through this because there are so many. But please let us know what characters you want to see, because I'm curious. These are basically a few of the major characters I think could influence the MCU going forward. Obviously, everyone will have their own opinions, and they're entitled to them as much.
Unless you're not a Blade fan, in which case, just no. But I want Moon Knight and Blade. But let us know what you think down in the comments below. I've been Scott from OccCulture.com.
I've been Ewan from OccCulture.com.
Catch you guys soon.
Bye.
Goodbye.